How's it going, guys? Welcome to the live chat. 718 all as well. Okay, Dirty Horse, how's it going, bro? I'm sure there will be a few people on here. It takes me a couple minutes to get on here sometimes. Sometimes I get busy with things. 4 o'clock on Fridays is not exactly the best time. For me, Fridays seem to be a busy day for some reason, but hey, what do you do? What do you do? It is rather than over second guessing everything and obsessing about shit and asking a million questions all the time, just follow the program and just, go with it. It's, I mean, unless of course you just want to replace some front presses and you just want to replace it, then yeah, just choose to do extra side delts instead if you want, and don't do quite as much pressing if you want. You can do that, but I find it better for people just to stick with the programs until they know what they're doing, and then at some point, then they can start changing things around. But if you're always changing all the parameters around all the time, then sometimes it gets to be confusing to tell what the hell's going on with your body or not. Hey, Ethan, yeah, thanks. Yeah, no, I'll do the live streams here and there. We'll see how long they're sustainable here. But yeah, it's not the most efficient use of my time, I have to say. But yeah, I don't mind doing it for now anyway. So we'll see. What's going on there, Nate? Dirty Horse, I just found out that the first hockey puck were frozen cow patties. I did not know that. I thought I heard that one time, though. I might have heard that before. I'm just working on my quad here with the dumbbells. See, I'm with the dumbbell working on the quad. I got to get a heavier one. It doesn't work. Sometimes it's useful to get a dumbbell on the quad. It's nice to work some of the trigger points out. It's kind of fun. Fun is not the right word, but effective. Say that. What's going there, Elren? How you doing? Quentin Baker, how's it going, bro? Can't find any chicken because of sheep hysteria. Eat some tuna then or something. Eat some canned fish. You can do that. Dry curd cottage cheese, a good source of protein too. Whey protein, that kind of stuff. Let's wait till some more. Ren, you're listening to me while you're playing COD Warzone. That's funny. I haven't downloaded the game because my PlayStation has too much, not too much. It only has 3 games on there, but it seems like the 500 gigs is totally filled up from that. So even if I erase all the video files, it's still not enough for me to put a new game on there. But yeah, that COD Warzone looks like a decent game. Looks kind of like fun. Quentin Baker, if you look at the ingredients on yogurt, you'll see there's barely any protein in yogurt. It's a joke how much protein is in yogurt. So, I mean, I also prefer having ice cream instead of cottage cheese, but that doesn't mean that ice cream is a good source of protein. It's not. It's just absolute shit. So just actually look at the labels, Quentin. Have you ever looked at the labels? I don't know if you have yogurt in front of you right now. Look at it. There's barely any protein in it. Oh, okay. So, Elren, you brought an external hard drive. That's crazy. You got to buy an external hard drive for a PlayStation. It's nuts. Something seems wrong about that, just to put some games on there. I mean, the things you should be able to fit at least 10 games on a freaking normal hard drive, but for some reason they make them so small. No, Quentin, they don't even have close. Yogurt doesn't even have close to as much as cottage cheese, not even close. If you eat a whole tub of yogurt, you'll have 110 or a liter of yogurt will have, dry cottage cheese, dry curd cottage, or not dry curd, but 1%, 2% or whatever, will have 100 grams or so of protein, whereas yogurt, it won't have that. Greek yogurt might have a higher concentration of protein, but it still won't be anywhere near cottage cheese. It's yogurt. It's not cottage cheese. You know what I'm saying? Curds and whey. That's why Miss Muffet was sitting on her tuffet, curds and whey, right? So. Just rolling my quad out. Rolling the quad out. See? Rolling the quad out. It's actually a good massage. It concerns my fingers. Sometimes if I use my fingers and stuff, my fingers just get totally destroyed from doing massage on myself. So, yeah. Blew your mind, Quentin? Yeah, blows your mind. This whole cottage cheese yogurt thing. Yeah. How's it going there, Hess? Defense from Texas. How you doing, bro? Man, you think with everybody being stuck inside the house with the coronavirus, you think there'd be more people in this chat? Is yogurt not dairy? Of course yogurt is dairy. What's your point there, Quentin? IFBB Reese, how you doing, bro? Yeah, Ethan, does burst training cause the body to adapt to endurance similar? It depends. I wouldn't say it's more like if you're doing 30 to 60 cents of something super intense where you're totally out of breath by the end of it, that's not necessarily endurance training. That's actually power training, right? It could be argued to be, explosive sort of training or endurance, at least strength endurance training. So say you're sprinting for 30 seconds, that you're exhausted. If you're sprinting 100% for 30 seconds, that's power training. How's it going there, Ricky? And Kung Fu Kickboxer from Scotland. How you doing? Yeah, Quentin, it will have whey in it, but that doesn't. But how much whey? Do you understand? How much whey? How much whey? That's what we're talking about here. It's how much protein, but it doesn't have the same percentage, right? How's it going there, bad screen name? Boxer Fencer. Nice to see you there, big guy. And Virginia. Joe Lackey from Virginia. Nice. I'm a very worldly citizen. I'm a world traveler just because you guys show up in my house, just teleporting into your living rooms right now, all over the world. What's my favorite body part to train? I like training chest. I really enjoy training chest, to tell you the truth. Yeah. Okay, so you're not between a full sprint and in between a jog speed. It's still going to be, like if you're resting 3 minutes in between, it's still not going to be so, let's just say catabolic. It's not going to break down muscle tissue that much. I don't think. If you're doing it pretty decent intensity, but then you're giving yourself rest, you're not trying to go to cardio exhaustion as much as you're just trying to hit exhaustion within 30 seconds or 60 seconds, and then you're going into a rest period. You're not continuing constantly. Yeah. All right there, Kung Fu, you can't stay too late. That's all right. You're allowed to have a good bedtime there, buddy. All good, thanks. What does BCAA do? Branched chain amino acids are basically essential amino acids. So there's amino acids that your body can produce out of the essential amino acids, and then there's amino acids that your body cannot produce, and those are the essential ones, right? So branched chain apparently are the essential amino acids that you can't produce on your own. So it will help complete the amino acids that maybe you get from protein from other sources. So therefore now you can complete a protein, and therefore your body then can use that protein fully to recover. So it's hard to really put it across in the video because you got to understand, like at that time in my life, I was open to science fiction and I read different, fantasy novels, and I was like interested in, psychicism and stuff. Like I thought, okay, there's probably something to this stuff, although I don't quite understand it. I believed that maybe there's life after death, all this stuff, right? But when somebody starts talking about aliens told this doctor about how he should be eating it, and I was stuck in a car in downtown LA with this guy. I'm like, man, he's so nice, but at the same time, I'm not sure if he's crazy or not. Like I didn't quite have a way of knowing, so it was quite an experience for me. And then, of course, he always did great photos, and he was pretty funny at the same time. So, yeah, I think his biggest problem was that he was too creative, that he couldn't really brand himself in just one way. And I could see a person like himself, because I'm watching some of his old movies now. I could see David getting really bored and frustrated with constantly just being cast as a dumb barbarian or something like that, and being put in Three Stooges type roles when he was a really creative person. He would have liked to really work on acting and really do real roles and shit. I could see how him and his brother were constantly being put in these different stereotypes all the time, and I think that would have been really tiring for him as a creative person. So I totally understand why he didn't really make it in Hollywood on a big level, because apparently somebody said that he was hard to get along with as far as like he was hard to work with, not get along with, but work with when it comes down to movies. That's what I can't remember the guy's name, but one of the Generation Iron guys was talking about it. And I could see that, because a creative person would just get totally bored to death from just doing the same old cartoon character over and over again, but never really expanding their creative sort of expression. So seeing as the amount of music and everything that him and his brother worked on, and the bodybuilding and then acting, and then, yeah, I could see it would have got really tiring. So watch some of his old stuff. Double Trouble was a great movie, though. That was actually a pretty good movie. I liked that one. And then there's 2 or 3 other movies that I stumbled across that he did. And I was like, wow, like, I mean, he was good in them, and his brother was good, but the script was really lacking, or they were just like goofy kind of humor type stuff. And I think he would have got really tired of that. Yeah. Maybe he was an alien, Ethan. Yeah, you never know. Some of us might be aliens and not even know it. You never know. Drop sets for life. Hey, Jason, this is Chase. How do you feel about if you're old and you can get stronger or as strong as you was when you were younger? How would you lift weights? Not sure what the question is. Yeah, Millen, I'll make a strength training program at some point, but I'm just testing out my own theories right now. I'd like to go through my own stuff and revisit things. I like to go through a strength training program myself, like say around benches right now. I'm doing like some bench press technique stuff, and I like to feel my way into a program before I do it. Like I could just write a straight up program and it would be fine. I'm sure I can do that. But sometimes I like to just revisit something for a period of time first and do it myself and see how my body responds. Am I overtraining from it? Am I feeling okay from it? All that kind of stuff before I actually encourage other people to do it or embark upon it. So that's why sometimes it takes me longer to do things. I don't like to just write something up that I haven't done exclusively, because I've always combined things together in my programs. I've never really just said, okay, this is what I'm going to do periodically. Not so much so anyway. I may concentrate 70% on strength as opposed to hypertrophy, or whatever, or vice versa. But I didn't really say, okay, this block of time is going to be nothing but strength. So I want to kind of do that for a period of time when it comes down to, say, just an exercise like bench presses, and then see how my results come. And then at the same time, then from there, market that idea and put it into some sort of form, right? The other thing I'm thinking about doing is putting together a beginner program, because there's a lot more people that are beginners out there that I find need help than people who are advanced. I'm not saying people who are advanced don't need help, but the problem is I'm getting some advanced people on here, and they understand me, but a lot of times the beginners don't understand me because they haven't been led down the path of gaining some sort of wisdom and understanding of training. And so the beginners that I usually get, or the people I usually get, have been the people who have been indoctrinated into the other ways of thinking from other, I can come up with a lot of names, but people that basically are part of the sheep mentality when it comes down to fitness. So I think I need to start educating at a lower grassroots area as well. And then from there, bringing people up to, the advanced stage where a lot of you guys are at the same time. So I need to also think about what's the most efficient thing for me to do and what will sell the most or sell at all. I mean, in some ways, because there's some things I've produced that don't sell at all. So it's just like wasted time on my part. So I need for expressing that you are interested in that program, Millen. If you can wait, or if you can try the programs, it's fine. But I'm trying to do something, and maybe in 4 weeks or so, maybe then I'll start to write something up. I've started writing some up before, but at the same time, I'm going to just experiment a little bit on myself here with my training, just to make sure that it feels right when I do write something up and then sell it. Okay. So yeah, hopefully you're still around, at that point when I put that out, and then maybe it'll be something of interest to you to try. How many days a week do I think it's going to be? Probably 5 or 6 days a week. 5 or 6 days a week. This is going to be like the training that I do now. It'll be more higher frequency and stuff. It's going to be not like just a 1 day a week do this, 1 day a week do that, whatever, and then rest for 7 days. It's not going to be that. Definitely not. Yeah. Favorite movie? Cypher, that's a great question. One of my favorite movies of all time is The Matrix. The first one is just unreal. The other ones are kind of weird, but the first one was, especially the first few, of course, it's always like that. And I like Blade too. The first Blade was actually pretty good too. It was kind of like a shockingly good movie. When I went to see it in the movie theater, I didn't expect anything from it, and it actually turned out to be pretty good. So yeah, I mean, those are my main movies that I like the most. But the funny thing is that I like shows like Downton Abbey as well. I don't know if you guys have seen Downton Abbey on Netflix, and you're gonna make fun of me if you watch it, but I'm telling you, the character development in that story through that whole series is really addictive, and it's all about the royalty and how the fall of royalty was happening in England during the World War I, but at the same time, the structures were still in place, and they had servants and house guests and everything. And anyway, it was a really addictive show. I have to say, if you haven't watched something like that, you'll be surprised at how you get pulled into it with the character development. It's really good character development. Like, it's kind of like the great writing of some of the stories, like for instance, Lost. I like that series Lost. The first several seasons of Lost was pretty good. And at first you'd hate a certain character, but then after you got to know the character's background and then you realized why they were the way they were, then you loved the character. Well, Downton Abbey's a lot like that. There's this kind of thing where you first see somebody at face value, but then you see the reason why they were doing things, and then it's genius writing, I have to say. So stuff like Downton Abbey, I just love. So yeah, other movies that I loved, which are more heart-centered, is Ghost. Patrick Swayze movies, unreal. Dirty Dancing was one of the greatest movies ever. I just love that movie. I know it's crazy, right? But I found Patrick Swayze, he brought masculinity and heart to his roles so strongly that I found I got a lot of enjoyment out of that. So not only do I like the fantasy stuff like Lord of the Rings, and I like all this like adventure and superhero stuff, I do like stuff with heart and great storytelling, like really lovable characters. That stuff is kind of what I like. Yeah, video idea, coronavirus and bodyweight workout. I thought about that, Francis, but it's almost like people are just all over the place trying to take advantage of this whole coronavirus. It's almost like it's overkill, and I don't want to contribute to this craziness that's going on with people. Yeah, this crazy panic, Okay, Jason, have you seen Uncut Gems on Netflix? What's great about that movie there, Balumi? I don't like stuff that's just straight up horror or some shit. I mean, I like storytelling and good. Like, I like the one thing that's shitty about some stories. Like I'm listening to this one podcast, this Dungeons and Dragons podcast. I'll listen to that when I drive to the gym and stuff. And sometimes I'll listen to different podcasts too. But I find it's great. Like, there's storytelling parts in it where you get to know the characters. The person who's the dungeon master, he's like the narrator of the story, and he's kind of like narrating the story. Very interesting. I find storytelling where you like the character and then the story means something. But I find now with Netflix and stuff, there's just like say Titans, Teen Titans or whatever, that DC Universe type thing. I find that none of the very few of the characters are likable anyway. They're just like kind of all stoic and all like I don't know. There's just nothing really lovable about them. Like, there's not too many characters in there where that's something that you could say is really great storytelling, because if there's no lovable character, then why the hell do you care about the story? I mean, because the story is about the character and what happens with that character, right? You can only be enamored with explosions and magic and the fight scenes so much, but if none of them mean anything to you, then why would you watch it, right? So yeah, I think that's something that I really consider a lot when I think about stories, Yeah, Quentin, I know what you're saying. I mean, Antonio B, yes, I am Lifetime Natural. Watch my videos there, Antonio. I've been Lifetime Natural. Just watch my video. Why did I decide to be a natural bodybuilder? Francis Drake, don't delete. You can gain muscle with body weight. Not necessarily. Not certain body parts. You can't really gain muscle with body weight. You can gain muscle in certain areas with body weight, yes, but not every area. That's why you don't see any top Olympia contender doing body weight stuff. Not exclusively, right? I've seen some of Altered Carbon, but I find that I don't know. It's kind of a dark movie. Main character is not really that likable to me. I love the filming though, like the colors, the way they color corrected the whole thing. Like, the look of the overall movie is really good. Or I mean, not movie, but the series. But not necessarily my favorite. The pacing is kind of okay. But I am watching it here and there. I just kind of tune into it once in a while. But yeah, it hasn't been my favorite. Yeah. The Never Ending Story. Okay, Ricky Field, if we're going to go into 80s stuff, The Never-Ending Story was a good movie. I like that because it was based on story and based on somebody reading a story of somebody else, and then the magic around that. I did like that as a kid. I liked Goonies, and I liked, you know, all those childlike adventure type movies when I was a kid in the 80s too. Those were all great. Yeah. Okay, so Bloomy, yeah, no, honestly, like The Matrix is one of the best movies ever there, Bloomy. It's like unbelievable. It was like it was a totally different vibe. And it mirrors the enlightenment path so strongly that people who get the movie will eventually realize all the connections between enlightenment and the illusion and Eastern teachings, and at the same time, the Matrix and all this. They'll understand that it has a much deeper vibe to it. And even if the writers didn't know what they were writing about, it was all based on this. So it's got a real esoteric teaching to it, to tell you the truth. All right there, Kung Fu. Take care, buddy. Highlander wasn't bad. Highlander was pretty good. Pretty freaking dark, though. Pretty dark with all the chopping the heads off, I have to say. It's pretty, but I can rely on you there, job sets for life. I know why you liked it there, Chase, because you're a dark dude, man. You're a dark dude. Okay, Todd asks, thanks for the $4.99, Todd. First donation of the day. Thank you, buddy. If all you did was bench, military, squat, deadlift, bent over rows, and pull downs, which body parts do you think would suffer the most for lack of isolation work? Arms, 100%. Biceps and triceps would definitely suffer. Rear delts would suffer. You probably wouldn't get a lot of side rear delt work as much as you would think, although you would get some. And the amount or the percentage that you would get would depend on how you're built and where your insertions are and everything. So this would be a little bit different for everybody. But for the most part, you get quite a bit of, depending if you're doing hypertrophy workouts or just concentrating on strength all the time, you would get most of your mass gains from that. Now, if somebody was a high bar squatter and they squat up mostly upright and their knees come forward over their toes more, then they would develop great quads, but their hamstrings might be a little bit lacking. But if they're doing the deadlifts, then you'd think the hamstrings would be good. But if they're doing wide stance for the deadlifts instead of normal stance for deadlifts, maybe their hamstrings wouldn't develop. If they're rounding their lower back a bit when they're deadlifting, maybe the hamstrings wouldn't develop as much. You know what I'm saying? So it would depend on how the technique plays out. But for the most part, the arms mainly would be the thing that suffers because if they're doing pull downs and stuff, their lats and everything should be good too. So, yeah. I could overhead press 185 times 4. I could bench 285 one rep. What maybe is my weakness in bench? Well, I don't know if there's no such thing as a weakness in bench. I mean, that's pretty much the same strength you should be getting. 185 times 4, and that seems about right there, Francis. Yeah. What do I think about creatine? Creatine seems to be a good product. I don't take it that much because I like to be able to tell exactly where my body is with water retention and everything, and I retain water when I take creatine. So I can't tell what my body fat percentage is at and how my body's responding to food. But creatine does help your strength endurance, and it may help you push harder in the upper body workouts mostly, not necessarily lower body though. Does improving mind-muscle connection by purposely squeezing more than usual at peak contraction result in more gains? Not necessarily. I want to hit 3 plates. Oh, Francis, you can hit 3 plates. You just keep on working at it. Just keep on working at it, right? I mean, and you can't rush it too much. I mean, you do strength training programs and then you do some hypertrophy work and you go back and forth, mix up those reps. I will be doing a strength training program because, like I said, somebody here is already requesting it. Millen is requesting it. So I will be doing a strength training program on here at some point. People have to remember strength is a lot about just getting used to the work. It's like the same video I just made. I just made a video on building strength. Did you watch it there, Francis? Did you watch my video on building strength? Or do you just cheat the system and just tune into Friday live chats and get free advice? Is that what you're doing? Are you cheating, man? Do you have to go down? Francis, do I have to take you for a ride? Oh, okay, you did watch it. Okay, you're lucky. Because like Mr. G was going to come. I was going to call him up and then he was going to take you up for a ride. So yeah, those 5 tips I talk about in that video are really relevant and applied over time will build muscle and it will build strength, and then you can do the endurance work to build muscle, right? So that's really the premise. It's really that simple, you know. Yeah, nobody can cheat the system below me. Nobody should cheat the system. Tuning in once a week here and just asking questions and then not even watching my other shit. That's not right. That's not right. Quentin, I think you might be right. I think Francis cheated the system. Francis is saying, yeah, 5 tips. He's just looking it up on his laptop. He's cheating. Francis, what were the 5 tips? List them up. Do some homework now, right? put you on the spot. That'd be funny. What's the fastest way to lose muscle if you have an overdeveloped body part? Man, that's a shitty problem to have. Yeah, that's right. You know, that's what I'm going to do. Every week, I'm not even going to answer questions for you guys anymore. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to come on here and then I'm going to give you guys an exam and make you answer questions about whether you watch the videos of the week or not. And if you can't remember every detail, so that way you're not skimming through my shit, because some of you skim through it just like, oh, whatever. Good. I got blah, 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 Jason. And then you just go to the next spot. Okay, I'll basically say, okay, where was this joke? Did you get this joke? What was the punchline? Because sometimes I split the punchline throughout the thing, so you can't just cheat it, right? And if you don't know the answer, up on the mountain, that's the mountain waiting for you. There's like a big snowdrift. I'm just going to put you in there, and that's it. Just leave you. Let's start now. Exactly. I got to make you fuckers accountable. You know what I'm saying? Like, otherwise, I'm just making videos to myself. It's like me talking to myself in a room. Da, 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 da. Like nobody's even listening. So what the hell am I making videos for, right? Yeah. Oh, there you go. Below me, you just watched my video on internet discussions. Okay. Okay, Ethan says, should I milk all I can out of a weight, so to speak, before adding 5 pounds to the bar? Basically, is it the best to wait until the weight feels 5 pounds lighter before adding 5 pounds to it? No, not necessarily, Ethan. But again, it's going to depend on whether you're talking about hypertrophy or whether you're talking about strength training. And I'd say do both. Sometimes you want to get as many reps as you can out of that puppy, but sometimes you have to trick the system by using a bit of heavier weight and then coming back down to that lighter weight, and then you get an extra rep. Should I just take BCA and saw that you took glutamine? Any explanation for that? Well, glutamine's a good supplement too. It's the most abundant amino acid in muscle tissue, so it's really helpful in also healing the gut, and it's really great for healing the joints and good for overall recovery, right? So glutamine is a great supplement to add to your workouts. So glutamine and NBCAs, you could add those together. Ethan doesn't watch my videos. Ethan, is that true? Is that true, Ethan? Well-rounded. Hi, Jay. I've been doing pull-ups for a long time. I'm still fatiguing my forearms first, which also takes me a long time to recover my forearms in between sets. Any advice? Well, just do some pull-ups without wraps for a couple sets. Fatigue those forearms up, and then use some wraps for the next sets. And then you could push deeper into failure for your back. Chase, you just ask me questions just for the sake of just hearing me talk, don't you? You just want to hear me sing. It's just like, it's like a bird. You just want me, just Jason, da 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 dee 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 dee, da 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 dee 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 dee. Because you just ask me questions you know the answer to. You probably know exactly what I'd say anyway. You just kind of like, just trying to get me to philosophize about training, right? 1 working set a day, Chase is saying. So drop sets for life. His name is Chase, but he's changed his thing now. Okay, all right, drop sets for life. Now he's like a hip hop artist. Drop sets for life, you know? So, okay, 1 working set a day, but progressively getting better for mass, or hit the body part 2 times a week for high volume. So I'd say hit the body 2 times a week for high volume, like 10 times 10, or 10 sets of 10 if you want mass, for sure. That would be 1 working set a day is good, but I'm going to say that because you have to warm up and everything, and if you're doing, I think they both could work, to tell the truth, but I think there's a point to where when you do too much frequency and not enough volume, you're going to hit some sort of wall. So both you're going to hit a wall with. So you want to kind of go back and forth. I know it seems like a general thing, but if you hit a body part every single day, I would say you're going to need an extra day or 2 off a week sometimes from it. You're going to have to really listen to your body and say, oh shit, I feel really sore and tight today. I'm not going to be able to go heavy. If I'm going to do the body part, I have to go light. But there is an overtraining type of effect that can happen from that. So I do think there is a benefit to taking a full day or 2 off. But If I was going to say what's going to put on the most muscle mass, I would say you'd probably be better off doing 2 workouts, 3 workouts a week with a little bit higher volume overall. And then once in a while to get the refined technique and strength and groove to do super high frequency and less volume, right? So I think both principles really work. You just got to kind of combine them, like, you know, do one and then the other, do one and the other. It's not really an either or as much. Well, thanks, Christian. Just want to say the fact that you do this every Friday, pretty solid advice. Respond to all your fan subscribers is incredible. You, sir, are a different breed of YouTuber. Thank you. No, well, thanks for tuning in there, Christian. And thanks to you guys who are sharing my stuff and helping me out. Like I said, I'll keep doing it as long as it's sustainable. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, but we'll see. I mean, I'm looking at doing a bunch of things. I'm looking at collaborating with a few different artists out there and people. We'll see what happens. I'm not necessarily sure what will happen. I'm not. See, I look up for inspiration. See, this is really inspired. But I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I'll keep on making these videos though. I enjoy making videos and workout videos. I enjoy helping you guys, and I enjoy actually working out myself and constantly going through my own challenges and going through my own barriers or whatever when it comes down to physicality and stuff. And so this is neat. I'm glad that I've amassed at least a few of you. You know what I mean? Like there's a good solid 100 or 200 people. Sorry, eyelash. There's a good solid 100 or 200 people on this channel that I find are pretty high quality people. I mean, there's probably a lot more than that, but I mean, the people that are kind of hardcore that really tune in and make an effort to share my stuff and make an effort to comment, make an effort to actually do things. They don't have to do this, but they're trying to help me in their own way, or maybe they're supporting on Patreon or something like that. So that's really appreciated. So, I mean, I do honor that relationship that I have with some of the people on here. And yeah, I'm looking at branching out and doing other things that are going to be more, let's just say, create a synergy between this and the other projects I'm doing. I'm trying to kind of branch out, whether it's getting somebody to use my music and then giving my YouTube channel credit if they have enough of an audience and they stick to their agreement, or working with somebody else that has a podcast, but they want to have me on there for some sort of entertainment reasons or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Trying to collaborate that way. So I'm looking into other options and stuff and see what we can do. But doing all that stuff really helps. And Francis says, we need to convince Jason to do a clickbait video. The problem is, Francis, I've done clickbait videos in the past. They don't work. They don't necessarily work. It just depends. Like a lot of times you guys are looking at a video and you see, oh, there's 1 million views on that video. It's just because of clickbait. Well, no, it's not. Sometimes it's about that person already has 100,000 views on it already just from their audience. And then from there, YouTube runs with it because it sees that it's popular. So popular breeds more popular. But doing a controversial video or something that is basically going to create a bunch of problems for me, like say slandering another YouTuber or something like that, that might create more traffic, but it's going to create a lot of negative energy. And it's not necessarily the type of energy I want to bring to this channel either. So a lot of times people who don't do YouTube don't really understand how it works. And just because you do a video that seems to be clickbaity doesn't necessarily mean it's going to take off. Like YouTube is so saturated, you have no idea. It's crazy, right? Belubi, oh, my video on how you met Arnold was hilarious. I expected a cliche motivational video, but shit got real. Yeah, I have to say, meeting Arnold was a huge disappointment for me. In 2001, I was like super disappointing. I was like, that guy's a dick. I didn't like him. I mean, he might be nice in person and now, but my impression at that moment was just, it was like the guy couldn't give two rats' asses about you, and it was like there wasn't enough cameras around in order for him to get caught being not nice. You know what I mean? I understand though from the other point of view, like he's busy and whatever. I didn't want to bug him, but the manager of the restaurant made me bug him because the manager was the one that bought the restaurant from him. I'm led to believe, you know, and that was kind of part of the deal. But yeah, that was a disappointing interaction, I have to say. Like I will say this, like. I'll try my best not to be like that if I ever got to a place where, you know, I'm famous or something, but I do know how pushy some fucking people can be. So I do know that. Like some people like say you charge for a session, you know, like a consultation when it comes down to your work or something like that. And then people will just be hitting your inbox like constantly for questions and answers and saying, hey, you know, I got another question. I got another question. I'm like, well, I kind of charge money for this. Like, why are you asking me all these questions to answer for free when I charge like for a session? Like, don't you understand? I still need to make a living too. So I do understand how people can be boundary crossers. So I think there's a possibility I got Arnold on a really bad day, but yeah, it wasn't a good impression for me at the time. That's for sure. Yeah. What do you do after a cut to put on muscle without getting fat? Well, you're going to put on some fat anyway there, Tap Out King. I mean, if you're going to, after a cut, if you're finished cutting and then you're going to try to put on muscle, you're going to get a bit fatter. You won't be able to maintain the exact same percentage of body fat if you're going to start increasing more calories, especially if you're shredded. It depends what type of cut you're on. But if you're 4%, 5% body fat, yeah, your body cannot maintain that type of percentage forever. So what you do is you just basically start eating more carbs or more protein and more fat, you know, but maybe not as much of a percentage as you would think. I usually would go back to just straight carbs and protein, combine them in the meals, and I just have a little bit more carbs than I was having before. And then I would just maintain a certain amount of leanness, but I put on a little bit of body fat because before I was having a really low carb diet. And yeah, your percentage of body fat will go up a bit, but your muscle mass will come just as fast, if not faster, so you'll look bigger and more fuller. But if you start putting on a lot of body fat, then you have to make sure that you don't basically eat as much energy calories through carbs or fats. You just lower them down again. So if you're putting on 5, 6, 10 pounds of fat every week for 2 or 3 weeks, well, then you know you're eating too much crap, right? You need to cut that down again. What is your most loathed exercise, as in an exercise you fully recommend but always find the most difficult? I'd say squats are always the hardest exercise out of any exercise, because you have to stabilize the spine, you have to stabilize the hips, the knees, everything has to be running properly. And even if you're doing it perfect, you can still injure yourself. Say your back is just tight because you twisted funny the day before or slept wrong, or maybe you are fatigued in the lower back of the hamstrings from some sort of hamstring work you're doing a few days before. So I'd say squats are the love-hate relationship of working out for sure. Yeah. Warrior statue. I think that what tends to work better on YouTube is having videos in the X tips about growing Y style. Yeah, no, there's definitely something to that. But I'll tell you one thing. One thing that will grow a channel faster than anything else is this. If you want to know, what grows a channel faster than anything else is the subscribers are so moved by what you produce that they are moved to share your content on all their social media platforms, whether it's through Instagram, whether it's on Reddit, whether it's on some sort of forum, on some sort of bodybuilding site. I've had that happen once in a while where somebody said, hey, I really love your stuff. I want to share it with my men's group that I have on this website, and these guys will really benefit from your tips. That's the stuff that really helps a YouTuber, because what happens is, if my stuff gets shared and I'm bringing a lot of people to the platform, like people are coming from these different websites to YouTube, then that pushes the YouTube algorithm to promote my stuff, because it says, hey, this video is actually bringing people to us and bringing more watch time to YouTube. So I'd say that is the best way. So by helping your subscribers, hopefully they're inspired, you know, and that's the thing, is how do you make content that inspires them enough to say, hey, shit, this is really shareable. I want my friends and family to know about this person. They just helped me so much, and I think it can help people I know that had the same problem, you know? So really, this is a problem-solving platform. When you help solve a person's problem, they're so happy about finding a solution to their problem that they start to share it with their friends. So that's really the thing. But yeah, you're right. Sometimes there's trendy topics. Sometimes there's this video that's going viral, and then you have the same title as that video, and then sometimes you can benefit from that. But I've tried that a few times when it comes down to certain things, and I haven't got any extra sort of tips on it. I've gotten no extra traction just by using the same title or hashtags or all that. So yeah, I just think it's one of those things where the fitness market is also very saturated. The fitness market is extremely saturated, so it's really tough to get things going, right? Would I start TRT if my levels prove low? And I get this question every single live chat, Sean. And I said, no, I will not start TRT. I will not. Randy Boudreau, working on any music lately? Actually, no, I have not been working on the damn music. You know, the thing is that I have just been sidetracked with making videos. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm always making a video, rendering a video, because I got the computer's too slow to render some of the shit out. And but yeah, I've got to basically just finish off this last track, and then I will have that up there, Randy. But thanks for reminding me. Actually, that's my project I was going to do today, but I didn't get to it. But to finish off the last track for my other album that I'm coming out with. And you're saying, would you consider collaborations with other YouTubers? Randy, I've already considered collaborations. I've reached out to YouTubers with audiences that are similar to mine, or if not more. because it's not an even trade. If you have somebody with 100 subscribers, there's really no benefit to a collaboration like that. There's really no benefit for my channel, right? All I'm going to be doing is promoting some guy and sending my audience to him. Like, why would I do that? So I've reached out to YouTubers with similar audiences to my own, or if not larger ones, but there's no real feedback. These people don't get back to you because they just see it as competition. And a lot of them are intimidated. They don't want to work with me because they know that I'll just steal their audience. You know what I'm saying? They don't want that. So there's a certain amount of competitiveness that does go on YouTube when it comes down to personal training type of stuff. It's not always collaborative. So I'm looking for ways that I can collaborate with people that are not only having an audience of their own of some sort, but at the same time, we are on a similar page with something, right? So, but we'll see. I'm always open, but the ones that I have reached out to, they never get back to me. Like, people are always, oh, this person lives in Canada. I'm like, well, do you understand that person lives like an 8-hour flight away from me? Like, just because they live in Canada doesn't mean it's like next door, right? Canada's bigger than the States, people don't even realize that sometimes. But when I've reached out to some of these people, they don't get back to me because they're like, well, why would I just, and I don't blame them. They've spent 10 years building an audience. Why would they share that audience with somebody else? Like, why would they share it? It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. It's kind of like marketing Burger King to McDonald's customers. Like, why would McDonald's actually on purpose market their hamburgers to Burger King customers, or vice versa? You know what I mean? Like, they wouldn't do it. So. Chris Anthony, watch my video on what is full range of motion. I always do full range of motion. It's just that you don't know what full range of motion is. That's the whole point. And I don't mean that in an insulting way. I'm just saying it's the truth. People like full range of motion is locking the elbows. But if you lock the elbows, you're going to fuck the joints up. That's jujitsu. You're going to hyperextend your elbow, have a broken elbow, and then you're going to be like, oh, well, at least I did full range of motion. Well, how does that benefit anybody? I do full range of motion for a specific muscle, right? People think full range of motion has to do with the joint. It doesn't. If I'm trying to hit the lats and then I extend up here and I'm popping my shoulders of the joint because I have a labral tear and everything, but I'm almost like doing this, I'm not getting more lat work. I'm just shrugging the shoulder, but I'm not getting more lat work because the lats do this, you see? So by doing this, I'm not getting more lat. And by doing this, I'm getting a percentage, like such a small, minuscule extra stretch on the lat, like I'm not even really getting anything. And I'm transferring stress more to the bicep and the tricep to stabilize the shoulder and the rotator cuff. So it's a waste of time. So the thing is with squats and shit, like when you're doing squats, people say, oh, you have to be parallel. Well, why are they only looking at the femur as full range of motion? Why aren't they looking at the other angles of the body? Because if I'm halfway bent over like this and they're bent over like that, but then they're just measuring the leg, why is that the measurement of the full range of motion instead of what's happening here? I could say they're only doing partial range of motion because they only bent over this much. So they're doing it wrong. You know what I'm saying? So it depends on how you're built, will depend on what you call full range of motion. And some people will only measure the part that they're good at because that's all they're capable of observing, but they'll totally forget the other part. I talked to a guy in the gym 2 nights ago, okay? This guy's 6 foot tall and he can deadlift pretty good weight. 6 feet tall, I'm 5'8". When we stood beside each other, his hand was exactly even with my hand when we had our hands at our side. So based on that, with his arms being longer, his torso being built totally different, his range of motion is like this when he does a deadlift. Me, I have to bend over like that if I deadlift on the floor, but he just bends over like this. So who's really doing more work in the deadlift in that case? Me. I'm doing more work. But at the same time, somebody else will say, oh, you're only partial a range of motion because you're only doing a Romanian deadlift. My Romanian deadlift is a deeper range of motion than he's doing with a full deadlift. So this is the thing. People don't understand range of motion. They just measure one part or one joint angle, but they forget all the other ones and they say, oh, you're only doing partials. So my bench genetics are okay for bench. Yeah, Francis, I'm not bad for genetics for bench, but at the same time, like I said, it's just one thing I realized. This was about 15 years ago. I realized how retarded some people were in the gym. They'd look at where the bar was, but never relate to okay, what was happening with the joints. They say, "Oh, the bar. Did you touch your chest or not?" Meanwhile, one fucker's touching his chest at the bar. His elbows are hitting the floor, and the other guy's touching his chest at the bar, and his elbows are nowhere near the floor, right? And we're saying, "Oh, they're both doing the same range of motion." No, because people are concentrating on where the bar is. The bar means nothing. So that's the same thing with the lat pull down. People are like pulling the bar down, but then what happens if your chest is out? You can only come down to here. This is, my lats fully like this. I can kind of do this if I don't flex the lats and I just use my rear delts and I start rotating around the shoulders, then I can bring the bar down lower. But if I try to touch my chest, a lot of times I got to rotate in and rotate the upper back over. Now, when I'm doing this motion, how does this help me hit the lats more? Like fucking how? Nothing. It doesn't do nothing to hit the lats more. All it does is me round the upper back. That doesn't make sense. And also at the same time, I'm now protracting the spine. I'm actually not retracting the shoulder blades anymore, and I'm putting my shoulders in a more vulnerable position because now I'm going to arm wrestle the bar over. That's going to cause rotator cuff injuries. That's why a lot of guys have fucked up shoulders. They're trying to do back and they're trying to rotate over the bar and they're always doing this kind of stuff. And then when they go bench, they wonder why their shoulders are messed up. So these are the common sense things that are so fucking genius that I can't even explain them to people because they're constantly measuring based on stupidity. They're saying, you're not as stupid as this person, so that means you don't know what you're talking about. And then I have to get into a big debate to try and unravel a huge bubble of illusion around them just to convince them. Meanwhile, they're more invested into staying in the illusion. So that's why I can't really waste too much of my time, you know? So because I end up having to spend hours and hours trying to convince somebody for free how to train properly. Like, it's just a waste. Like, why would I even do it? You know what I'm saying? So those of you who are here, you're a special bunch of people because you're kind of open-minded and kind of saying, okay, what is Jason doing? There must be something he knows here. But at the same time, I'm just totally sick to death of trying to convince people that are just too blind to see, right? Below me, you're making quality videos, Jason. Does the lack of views bother you much? I respect that you keep going. You know what? The thing is that I love making videos for the sake of love, like making videos. Like, I do really enjoy it. Like, there's something about the science of abundance and creating. There is something definitely powerful about that, because when you're just creating something, there is just a joy in that. So it's not like I'm ever resentful. But when I think, like, yeah, it does get a little frustrating sometimes when I see a guy that just his back development is basically that of Mighty Mouse, and he's not only trying to give advice, and it's fine, you know, everybody can help at their own level, right? Because all he's got to do is be a little bit better than somebody else to be able to help them. But then he's looking at me like, and I'm somehow bad, like saying that I'm doing everything wrong, and then I'm fake natty, and you know, all this kind of shit. And at the same time, he's getting millions of views. That kind of sometimes is a little bit annoying, that I'm getting somebody ignorant, you know, getting success from perpetuating that ignorance, and then at the same time trying to take me down to the process when I'm, you know, just trying to do my thing here. You know what I'm saying? That's the part about YouTube that bothers me, if there's anything that does bother me about it. But, you know, they say cream floats to the top, so eventually I'm sure that's going to happen. And it's only a matter of fucking time before the mountain starts rolling boulders down the hill. That's all I can say. The boulders will come down, and everything in its way will crush them all up, and then the mountain will remain, because that's the way it is. Because I said so. Celtic pride. How the hell are you doing? Mountain. That's right, below me. YouTube is an entertainment platform, not an education. Well, it is an education platform, Jarlo, because, you know, the truth is I learned how to do video from YouTube. I learned how to do music from YouTube. I learned how to do a lot of things from YouTube. It's just that it is also the battleground of people that have differing philosophies and different things to teach, and where they disagree, and they do the public debates. And that's always the way it's been. I mean, even scientists in universities would do that. They debate about who's right and which study was this and what does this mean, and they come up with a different hypothesis and stuff. So this is actually happening on YouTube. But unfortunately, you're right. There's an entertainment part of that, and there's certain people that are entertained, but not the truth. They're entertained by what they think life is, and it's almost like giving crack to a crack addict, right? The crack addict will always think crack is the truth, because crack is going to help them with their urges in that moment. So because so many people are driven by ego and driven by glamour and driven by whatever sort of, you know, success paradigm thing they got in their head, or insecurity or whatever, they'll look for what is the candy to their mind in that moment instead of really looking for a deeper truth, right? So it's easier for them to be more obsessed with something that looks according to their fantasy, although it's been built on a foundation of death and mutilation, right? So yeah, there's going to be, let's just say the truth always comes out in the end. There's always a learning curve. I'm seeing people now, like I walked in the gym the other day and, I'm seeing somebody that's laying on the floor. They're all broken up and stuff. And I've been talking to this person a long time, said, hey, you're awesome at sport, whatever, but that sport's not necessarily going to be sustainable for you forever. It's not really a great way to stay in one piece. And you're starting to see it, and this person's like not even half my age, and there's another person, the same thing. And then, another person's girlfriend laying on the ground, same thing, I'm like, there's too many people that have the fucking fantasy that they can be Superman. And you can't be Superman. Just because you're 5 years old and you believe that Superman can fly, I would not recommend jumping off a roof and just testing out the theory until you know for a fact that you can fly. You know what I'm saying? So we have people that are so invested in these dreams that they refuse to embrace reality at the same time. And a dream is a great thing, but if you're ignoring reality at the same time, then you're going to have a problem. There's going to be some point where the road bifurcates, you know what I'm saying? And there's going to be either you split in half or something happens. So we're going to see a lot more people dying because of drug use and messing around with their hormones. We're going to see a lot more people that are going to see the side effects of what it is they're doing. And we're seeing it. We're seeing it all the time. But the problem is that some people want to defend their way of life so strongly, like all drug addicts, that the minute you start drawing attention to it, then they defend fiercely and they just attack you. Like there was one guy that's a famous YouTuber. I actually got on there and just said, listen, this is what happens when you start using drugs. You're going to mess your joints up and this stuff is going to happen to you. And then I got attacked by all these people. They're like, oh, you fucking asshole, whatever. How dare you say this shit? Trying to enjoy the fact that some guy got injured. I'm like, no, that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to save his life here. You know what I'm saying? But everybody perceives you as an asshole because you're just basically drawing attention to truth, right? So yeah, sometimes you can give a person a blessing of letting them know what the truth is. And then other times you just got to help push them into a deeper level of realization themselves by feeding them more of whatever it is they need until they come to their own realization. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of shit that I've experienced in my life. And there's some people even here on this channel that I've had talks with and had arguments with and whatever, like that are tuned in right now. They're very nice people. But sometimes I've said, hey, I know something about this thing. And I said, no, you don't. You're an idiot about that. But I'm like, no, this has been my experience. I actually had this experience. I know several people that had this experience, and this is what happened. They're saying, no, you don't know that. I'm like, okay, fine. Just test your own theory out. And then maybe in 10 years, you'll come back to me and say, geez, Jason, you're right. I had a person several years ago send me scathing emails about why I'm not a vegetarian. That means I'm not a spiritual person. I'm not a very good person. I'm bad this, bad that, whatever. And like all this big freaking long spiel about how I'm the worst person ever on the planet because I'm not a vegetarian. And then I told him, I said, this is why. At this point, I'm not. If it's the right thing for my body in any one moment, then that's when I will be that. But I am whatever my body needs at this moment. And he's like, yeah, whatever, asshole. But, that was the end of the conversation. A year later, he gets back to me and says, holy shit, man, I am so sorry because I totally fucked my health up by doing the veganism thing that I was doing because it was not right for my body and all this other shit. He listed off all these symptoms, all these things that started to happen. So this is not a talk about whether vegan's right or not. It's just a matter of don't think that I'm just sharing shit that's just because I have an idea or a philosophy. A lot of times I'm saying something because I have an experience in that area. And then you take that experience and then pull it into your life and then see if it, helps you make a better decision for you. And I'm not saying my experience is the only experience. There's going to be sort of an amalgamation of my experience with your experience that you can kind of grow in deeper wisdom with, right? But I find that a lot of people, they just basically, they are quicker to trust some piece of paper written by somebody they don't even know because it has the right, words around it or something like that, instead of somebody that they do know that has actually walked the very path that they want to walk, And so that's kind of where I find that a lot of people are lost. They'll trust information that's just written somewhere in a study or something, not thinking about who the fuck funded the study. They don't even think about it. They don't even think about how much money it costs to fund a study. They don't think about it. And they never think about who's pulling the puppet strings, who's actually doing a study, and who's going to benefit from the study saying one thing or the other. And at the same time, they'll trust that instead of somebody else that says, hey, I live my life. I have no benefit to tell you this. Like, there's no benefit in me to tell you this, but this is what happened to me. Maybe find out for yourself, but maybe you can benefit from this information. But they'll attack that person instead of actually saying, geez, maybe the study it has some sort of motive behind it, right? So yeah, that's my Philosophy Friday for you. Yeah, Chase, that's exactly it. I mean, that's exactly it. That's exactly what I'm saying there, Chase. Yeah, go vegan or you're Satan. Yeah. Randy Boudreau, am I active on Instagram? Well, you know, Randy, there's one way you find out the answer to that question. There's one way of doing it. You just pick up that little phone there, big guy. You just pick it up. I don't know. I have to bust your chops today, Randy. I don't know why. You seem like a nice guy, actually. So I'm just, if I'm coming across as an asshole, I'm sorry. I'm not meaning to. I'm just like, this is how I entertain myself during the Friday live chat. So yeah, but it is funny. Some people say, Jason, do you have an Instagram? I'm like, why don't you just check Instagram? That's probably an easier way of doing it, isn't it? Than asking me, waiting for me to get back to you. Alexander Stevens, yes, roll the boulders down the mountain. That's what we do. We roll them down the mountain. Roll them. Chris Patterson, I know that frequency is best for muscle gains, but my joints prefer longer rest. I am 40. I will say it doesn't mean what's best. I'm not saying, you know, you have to go frequent or not, okay? Depends on how frequent. And I do understand what you're saying, that sometimes your joints can't keep up with the healing and recovery. So that said, what you want to do is see, are my muscles functioning right? Get some massage therapy. Find out if the muscles are pulling on the joints funny to cause excess inflammation. Find out if you're mineral deficient. If you have mineral deficiencies like copper and selenium and magnesium and all this stuff, this can also contribute to your joints not basically keeping up with the recovery. Look at your range of motion. Are you jamming the joints a little bit? Are you hanging off them on the chin-up bar? Are you doing certain things that are actually aggravating? Are there certain exercises that are aggravating more than others? These can also be factors. It doesn't mean you're 40. Like I'm well over 40 and I'm still training. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying you're wrong, and I'm not saying not to pay attention to this, but I'm saying don't think that you are powerless to affect this as well, because there may be some parameters here that will come into your awareness that may assist you with understanding why your joints are feeling a certain way. That's all. Girillo, proper education usually pay for. Well, no, I'll correct you there, Girillo. Proper education, more like proper brainwashing, you usually pay for. Because if you look at education, it's not really education. A lot of it is actually funded by outside sources. There are a lot of times that books and certain funding is giving to these universities and organizations that are not necessarily neutral in their agenda. So yeah, you have been brainwashed a little bit into believing that proper education exists. I'm going to tell you right now that there is a lot more of that bullshit that is tainted than you think. I will say that there's a lot of proper education on the internet. I've gotten proper education from things. People teaching you something is proper education. You learning something legitimate is still proper education. That's really education. Did you learn something? Did you learn something that's practical? Did you learn something that's useful? That is actually proper education. Shit education is usually when they say you should think a certain way, even though it goes against practical living, when it goes against what is practical, what is working. When they say, no, you should believe this, even though it does not function right? That is ungrounded. But I find that's where a lot of people that are properly educated are living, because they're living in a game and they're learning about how to function in that game, but they're not necessarily learning how to function in life. So there's a difference. I'm not saying there can't be a bridge between the two, but I am saying that there is a difference. And I don't think proper education is quite such a hard, fast sort of thing. There's a little gray zone in there, I think. And God bless you there, Gerlo, because you seem like an open, nice guy. So thanks for throwing some really smart comments my way. Oh, Randy Boudreau, thanks for sharing your experience. He says you got screwed up from veganism. You were so delusional and lying to yourself for years before I finally made the realization. You know what the thing is that, again, I just think it's going to be based on people's constitution, their blood types, you know, how many generations before you were eating a certain way or not. I mean, I think there's so many different factors that go into it. And I don't even know all the variables, but what I can say is that if something's not working for you, you just need to be real about that. I'm definitely not a person that thinks killing animals is a good thing. I don't like, you know, the whole thing, but there's a lot of things about life I don't like. I don't like pooping either, you know, it smells bad, you know what I'm saying? But that's just happens. It's just, the body is just full of inconveniences. That's the whole point. And, Yeah, unfortunately, life is just a bunch of things that don't meet your preferences, and your ability to face those things is going to dictate your ability to master them. Most people, I mean, some of you guys might be surprised at this, but most people don't like exercise. Most people, it's too uncomfortable. They don't want to face it. They don't want to experience it. But when they experience it for long enough, then it starts to become pleasurable. But there is that shift. There is that period of time where it takes before the discomfort becomes comfort. And during that time, most people really avoid that. So I think there's something to that. I think, life is just all of us running towards death. I mean, we're all going to die at some point. So I think, yeah, embracing that hard truth is also a part of life. Okay, Quentin Baker. Hey, Jason, what kind of complex question? If osmosis will saturate sweat cells, if you do a hot water bath, will it help you expel water by dropping salt? I don't know. I'm guessing a hot water bath will make you sweat a little bit. So yeah, maybe you will drop water a bit. But why would you want to drop water? That's just a temporary sort of solution for something. It's not going to be a long term. Like being perpetually dehydrated is not necessarily going to help you hit fat loss goals or anything. So I don't really understand why you'd want to do that anyway. Yeah, no, Randy, I'm not roasting you either, though. But thanks for having a good sense of humor there, Randy. So yeah, I'm just playing around with you. So it's great having you here. You're good shit. Is it worth taking a multivitamin? The voice of reason. I think it is. I do take a multivitamin. I am taking some alpha lipoic acid and chromium picolinate right now, and I do notice that I'm feeling like I'm looking more pumped this last month, okay, or last couple of weeks or week and a half since I've been doing it. So really look at alpha lipoic acid and chromium picolinate as a mineral. These help stabilize blood sugar. Now, stable blood sugar is going to make your insulin more effective, and it's also going to help you offset diabetes. It's going to help you absorb more of your minerals. So these are things that are worth taking. And alpha lipoic acid is a very powerful antioxidant. And apparently it passes through the blood-brain barrier or whatever, so it's supposed to be really good for that. But there's also some new research, I guess, that suggests that alpha lipoic acid helps regenerate old tissues and all this. So that said, I'm taking that supplement. I do take a multivitamin, and I'm taking ZMA, zinc magnesium aspartate, because I think when I went magnesium deficient a few years ago, I didn't really replenish all my minerals. So I'm basically trying to make sure my minerals are kind of at a good set point. And zinc and magnesium are extremely important, right? Have you lost muscle mass as you've aged? And if so, how did you deal with it psychologically? I know we almost face this. I didn't really lose much muscle mass. I mean, there's some muscle mass I lost, but it wasn't because of aging. It was more because of injuries that I had, like a torn bicep and a torn rotator cuff and a torn rotator cuff over here and dislocating. Like these did play a factor. And also priorities changed, where, being the biggest and strongest person around and constantly feeling like I was in perpetual agony, wasn't necessarily my goal or agenda, because I used to push through pain and shit until I snapped something when I was in my younger years. But at the same time, I just was so identified with being a bodybuilder that was where my entire, identification was wrapped up. Now it's like, I enjoy working out as much as I did before, if not more so, to tell you the truth. But yeah, I'm dealing with sometimes, age-related sort of stuff. Sometimes you're just not feeling as smooth as before or whatever. But I find that's just always been the let's just say that the theme song moving through the body. The body's always adapting. Like I can't remember ever when I went to the gym feeling perfect all the time. I always had a lower back kind of tightness, or a knee or a shoulder was feeling a little off, or like that's always been happening when I train. That's kind of what athletes do. They push through those things, or they find ways to work around them. So yeah, it's pretty much the same old song. But yeah, I mean, I went through my own death process a long time ago, which is how I became a meditation teacher and that sort of thing. And if you don't let go of your attachment to being something specific, the life will come in and break it for you. That's what I know. So you can either break it or life will come break it. And it's a lot more preferable for you to choose to break that attachment as opposed to life coming in and breaking it for you. That's all I can say. Hey, Jason, what do you recommend for those who can't go to the gym because of the coronavirus? All gyms in my city are locked down. Walking hills, doing lunges, Sprints are awesome for legs. Um, one-legged squats, right? I don't know if you have dumbbells in your house or whatever. Do you have a chin-up bar? You can do chin-ups. I mean, you could do a lot with chin-ups and stuff, and you can even walk your feet up the wall and do some intense sort of incline presses as well as standing like shoulder presses, you know? So you could do a lot of that stuff and actually sustain yourself for a few weeks for sure. Yeah, Drillo. Yeah, you're talking about formal education and real education. You have to do your own research. Yeah, that's true. That's true, and it does require money, and it does require time. Yeah, nothing in life is free. That's the funny thing, Drillo. You know, it's hilarious. You know, like I do stuff like this live chat, and sometimes I'll do work like I do my other channel, like which is more in spiritual stuff and whatever. And then there's always an asshole that comes on there and says, "Oh, you know, you're a dick. You know, why are you asking to have a patron supporter or why do you sell anything? Why do you even charge money for consultations and stuff like that?" And I'm thinking like, shit, man, it's like the computer that I'm running this on is not free. The camera that I'm shooting this on is not free. The time that I'm spending here is not free, because if I'm doing this here now, then I'm not working a job somewhere doing that. So I have to pay my bills somehow. But a lot of times the people that are very ungrounded, they're very kind of like airy-fairy and flaky or whatever, they think that that somehow everybody should give them something for free, but they're definitely not going to be giving anybody anything for free, you know? So it's like, I mean, I have no problem. I'll do everything for you for free, but then give me a place to live and buy my groceries for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's the kind of funny thing. So yeah, I mean, everything has to be sustainable. That's the best thing I could say about it. Do you think calves are genetic, or people just say that because they don't want to train them? I would say partially they are genetic. I knew some guys with massive calves that they didn't train them at all. They were just massive, like huge calves. Like they didn't even pay attention to them. But it doesn't mean you can't make a difference in calves. Like I don't really train my calves much these days, but when I train them, they do grow a bit. You know, it's not like you can't grow them, right? How the F do you spell that? Okay, I guess you're chromium picolinate. Chromium, Chromium, and then picolinate, Picolinate, picolinate. And that's my spelling bee word for the day. Not spelling D, just spelling bee. Greetings from Malaysia. How you doing, Jagon? How you doing, buddy? Do you find any connection between bodybuilding exercise and meditation? The truth is everything in life has some connection to meditation. But if you're doing bodybuilding exercise from a place of following an idea and saying, okay, this is going to lead to my idea, that's not meditation. And a lot of people call that a meditation. A lot of people will say, oh, this is a meditation. I'm in the gym and such meditating. Meanwhile, they're obsessive. They're obsessing the entire time. There's no meditation going on. They're basically rejecting their body the way it is and saying it must be something different, and they're following a dream. That is ego. So yes, you can shift that paradigm, but most people don't, and they call it, physical exercise is meditation. Like I met this one guy in the gym, nice guy, whatever. He says, "Oh, this is my church. This is my meditation." I'm like looking at him, and I'm like, "No, this is not your meditation. This is your obsession. This is your ego. You know, this is not your meditation, because there's not this easygoing heart opening that's happening and oneness and flow with all of reality going on. That's not happening. So you can't really speak this to people until they've had certain level of experiences. It's almost like it's like trying to tell somebody what it's like to be in a rocket ship cockpit with them never being in there, you know, like sitting on the ground. Like they have to have a certain level of experience before you can baby step them into that. But yeah, bodybuilding, once the ego is discarded, can become a meditation path, but it doesn't mean that it's meditation itself when you're training. You're at one with the training, but there's deeper levels of this oneness. That's another way I can put it, I guess. Yeah. All right, there. Well-rounded. See you, buddy. Thanks for tuning in, eh? Have a good one. Yes, the voice of reason, alpha-lipoic acid, chromium picolinate, zinc and magnesium aspartate in addition to a multivitamin. Yes, because a multivitamin usually only has a small amount of a bunch of stuff in there, but not large amounts, right? So, you know, there's certain things you need larger amounts of. Kieran Jones, have you made a video on how to lose the ego? Well, I've made lots of videos on that on my other channel, but you know, I usually don't really talk about that other channel too much in here. It's only the live chats where it's actually been coming up because people are asking these deeper questions, right? But it's called Jason J. Gallant. On there, there's a bunch of different ways of unraveling the ego from different points of view, right? The latest video I put up on that channel was life's purpose. And so many people have this life's purpose in their head. And that kills them because they're trying to look for this life's purpose. They're looking for some reason why this is of value or why I should be here, what I should be doing, all this kind of stuff. And then sometimes they find a momentary purpose and say, okay, this is my purpose, and they follow that direction. But once you say, I want to unravel the ego, you're saying, I want to no longer follow the ego. I want to experience the here and now to the deepest depth that I can and experience the fulfillment that comes from that. So at that point, you let go or decide to stop following the desires and fears of the mind. And that includes letting go of the dream of life's purpose, the dream of goals and aspirations. So that way, the ethereal dreams, basically coming from the head, are let go of, and then the heart can come forward, and then it might play in the exact same way. But the reason why the actions are happening is different, see? And that's what I make those videos in. So I had somebody misunderstand what I was saying, because it always happens when, especially when I have people come from here to go there. I say, let's surrender to life's purpose. They say, well, you know, nothing matters unless I'm eating or sleeping. I'm like, yeah, okay, but let's deal with one fucking problem at a time. I mean, if you're not eating or sleeping, okay, then go feed yourself. And then come back when you want to deal with the suffering that's caused when you are eating and sleeping quite well, but at the same time, you're stressed out and you hate your life. Like now come back to me and then we'll deal with that problem, right? So the enlightenment stuff is about you learning or experiencing the freedom that is always already within you, regardless of what external circumstances are happening. So you can still deal with life's trials and tribulations, but there's this bliss or this experience within you that buffers you against the overwhelming friction of life, right? The battlefield of life. The drama, like you don't have to add to the suffering that is already caused. Like there's already pain in life. You don't have to add to it by creating suffering and creating a loop of meaning that is back and forth that causes you to be stuck in certain channels of suffering. So yeah, that's what that channel is more about. Thanks, Voice of Reason. Thanks for the $5 there, buddy. I think that's the third super chat I got today. I think that's pretty good. Thank you, buddy. Drop sets for life. My life purpose is to get 20-inch arms. Yeah, well, you know, your life purpose can be to get 20-inch arms, but once you get 20-inch arms, then you're going to be empty. Then you're going to be like, wow, now what's my life purpose? Now I can die, because you said it's your life purpose, right? So if that's your whole life purpose, then you can die at 20-inch arms and you just be dead. So that's it, done. Tonight's a good night for Jason's wallet. Really, Quentin? Really? You see that? Okay, I'm gonna teach you something there, Quentin. $5. Okay, I made $5. And let me see, $5, $3, so that's $8. Okay, $8, $13. Okay, so I made $13. YouTube takes 40%, so I guess I made around $7. So that's, I don't know what kind of wage you work for there, Quentin, but I bet you make more than $7 an hour. Hey, you make more than $7 an hour there, Quentin? Man, you guys, man, my information must be worth like dog shit if you think $7 an hour is what is good wages. Cool there, Jagon, sorry. Still have the muscle media that we're featured in. Thanks. Yeah, no, it's cool, man. If you ever see you, I'll sign up for you, buddy. Yeah, Quentin, so OSNAP, yes. Yeah, DJ, but you haven't did you put 30 hours of work plus spend $20,000, $30,000 in equipment to make $7 an hour there, DJ? Probably not. No, that's cool. Voice of Reason, I appreciate that, buddy. I'm not slandering what you donated. I'm just saying that when somebody says I'm so let's break it in the money, I want to make sure that this is, let's not make any sort of like preconceived notions that are false here that oh yeah, Jason's good, you know, eternal servitude to free super chats because, or free videos because he made $7. So, yeah. Yeah, bro, I'm a CEO, Quentin. That's good. That's funny. That's funny shit. I like it. You guys are funny. Randy Boudreau has donated 5 spiritual love dollars. Well, thanks, buddy. That's good. That's good. Well, this is considered art. Yeah, no, this is not actually art. Actually, the thing is, what I'm doing on YouTube is not really art. This same thing, I charge $70 an hour in sessions with people in person in the gym. This is basically what this is this is not art. Making a video like this is actually a consultation. This is not art. I mean, I don't see any freaking special effects and shit going on here. This is basically how education happened. So basically what happened, thanks DJ for the $14.99. Thank you, buddy. Basically what happened is that this is a way to people getting services and education and consultations and information. Whereas before you'd have to travel somewhere, now you don't have to. But it doesn't mean this is of less value, you know what I'm saying? Rating is actually of value. It's a lot of value, actually. Some of you know that, but some of you I don't think know, because a lot of people are so used to getting everything for free now that they think that it's all the same, you know? Like you can give them dog shit cake, and then you give them like a wedding cake, and they think it's the same thing. They're like, hey, it's both cake, whatever, you know? I'll pay the same for both. Meanwhile, one is sending them to the emergency ward, right? So... Brooks just gave you 2 hours of his life. That's so nice at 2 hours. Yeah. Although Drop Sets for Life would probably eat the dog shit cake. I know he's laughing at this, but you'd probably eat it because you're like, hey, my life's purpose is getting 20-inch arms. So if somebody convinced you that would give you 20-inch arms, you'd be eating that shit like it's going out of style. You'd be like, wow, what kind is this? What'd you feed this dog? Purina? Was this Purina? Is this Purina stuff? Because, man, this is the best dog shit cake I ever had. The voice of reason, any coronavirus worries near you? There's 1 or 2 people in Vancouver that had it. Yeah, it's everywhere. Yeah, I mean, it's the worries about it and stuff like that. I'm not worried about it. I'm the mountain. I'm not worried. Jeff says yes. Then he would die happy with dog shit in his belly. It's good with the 20-inch arms. That's right. And then you'd become like a dog shit werewolf. You'd be like, you know, all of a sudden rising from the grave as a dog shit werewolf zombie. And there would be like some sort of specific superpowers you have from that. I think that's true. I think that could happen. Like that'd be a good comic book. It's like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You'd be like dog shit zombie werewolf man or something like that. I don't know. Dog shit. That's a new comic for Sam Weller to work on. I think dog shit zombie werewolf man. That'd be good. I like that. That actually has a nice ring to it. Dog shit werewolf zombie man. I like that. Quentin used reverse psychology. Now people are donating. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I won't. Yeah. Sorry, this one guy's saying, okay, wait a second. There's a non-zero chance in my head that the coronavirus doesn't actually exist. No, I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I never said that. Did you think that I said that? I just said I'm impervious to it. I never said it doesn't exist. Joe says he says, oh no, that's a good superpower. You'll bite people and then they'll turn into dog shit and then you eat them. That's good. That's good. I tell you, this comic book's getting better as we go, man. We got to get Sam Weller on this chat. I guess he's probably asleep because he's in England right now, but man, he's got to listen to this shit because we got a real good comic book here. This could be like one of those cult following things. Dog shit zombie werewolf man. That'd be pretty good. I like that. I like that. Now you guys are comparing measurements. Once you start comparing measurements, I stop reading because that just gets a little bit too disgusting too fast. Jirla, you went to Costco tonight and the place is practically empty. I just wanted to get some chicken. Yeah, I know. It sucks, eh? Yeah, Nate, I was going to donate. See, that rhymes. Crazy, eh? Donate. See, Nate, you're supposed to donate because Nate is in donate, right? So that's why you have to donate. You don't even have a choice. It doesn't matter what video you go on by anybody or anything. You have to be the first guy to donate because donate is in your name pretty much. So you said you'll buy a program or a shirt, so you get all the money. Yeah, shirts, I get about $2 for the shirt. Like say you buy a $25 shirt or $20 shirt, I get about $2 from that. But if you buy a program, yeah, I just have to pay the PayPal fees and stuff. So yeah, that really helps me out. So yeah, anytime you guys buy any of my programs, it really helps me support the channel too. So I appreciate that. So thanks. And God bless you for being around, man. It's nice to have you around there, Nate. You're always a good guy. Lately, I can't do shoulder presses anymore without pain. Is there any hope for my delts? I'm 40. Yeah, of course there is. It's just a matter of you might have some sort of rotator cuff thing or maybe a tight neck or a rotator cuff that's causing some sort of referral of pain. Maybe you caused some sort of impingement of your bicep tendon from doing front raises or something. There could be a lot of things. I'd really recommend you go to massage therapy, get some massage in there and see if you can work any of the trigger points out or any of the stuff that might be going on with the muscles. There might be some sort of trigger point thing going on there. That's just always what I go to first, because if you're getting pain from front delt type movements, there's a good chance that you have something going on with the front delt or there's a bicep impingement issue or something. And it's good to get that checked out first and foremost. It's not always a joint problem. That's my point, That's a good one, Chase. Yeah. Fuck, I'm loving this comic, man. I'm telling you, I'm just really enjoying this comic. I really like this comic that we came up with there, Chase. Drop sets for life. Me and him, we came up with this comic book. Yeah, came up with a comic book. What do we call it? Dog shit zombie? No, okay, zombie, dog shit eater, zombie werewolf man or something like that. What is that? So anyway, man by day, wolf, dog shit eater by night. That's right. That's your theme, We'll have a song like Spider-Man does whatever a spider can, be something like that. But we'll have like your actual lyrics in there. Will doing shoulder presses solely work on front delt, or can it be considered a movement for overall shoulder development? Yeah, it is overall shoulder development. You do get some side delts in there and stuff too. Depending on how your belt will depend on what percentages or not. But mostly it's front delt, but you do get some side delt for sure in there. Yeah, I would say that 100%. Okay, Arrest Cosmos. Jason, why does a fly machine never feel right, but dumbbell flies are great? I will say this, okay? There's one machine called the Pec Deck that does this. Are you talking about this one or like this, right? Because there's a difference, right? And I just talked to Mr. D there about this, where basically the Pec Deck, if you do this and you come forward, what happens is that you don't have the bicep to stabilize the shoulder, right? So if you're doing a normal fly, the bicep stabilizing the shoulder, so it actually helps keep this in one piece. And then when you're contracting the pecs, you're not necessarily getting any shoulder grinding. Whereas with your like this, you don't have that. So sometimes the shoulder gets pulled across by the coracobrachialis muscle that's in here. And sometimes it jams the joint a little bit and can cause some issues. So that's one reason with the Pec Deck, why the Pec Deck is not the same as a dumbbell fly. Okay, so I haven't seen the response here because it's a bit of a delay. Okay, good. Okay, so now you're talking about this, okay? So the other thing is that when you're in a bench and you have constant tension, right? I find that sometimes depending on how you set the thing up will depend on, what groove, whether you're pulling down like this or whether you're pulling up like this. But I find that because there's constant tension throughout the entire movement, the same tension up here as there is down here, it also changes the dynamic. And sometimes I do find that it almost grinds a little bit, where I find at the top of the movement, I don't know. I find that dumbbells, there's not as much tension here. You see what I'm saying? When you come to the top of the movement, when you're doing flies, there's no tension. Then you come down here, there's tension, and then there's not as much tension. Where there's the same tension with the Pec Deck type stuff, not Pec Deck, but a machine fly. And sometimes the tension up here feels weird because it's not necessarily as natural. So maybe you're getting some sort of issue from that. I don't know. Yeah, there you go. You got the lyrics there, Chase. Good job. Wolfman tries his best to be a regular man. When midnight strikes, he bites and eats as much as dog shit as he can. There you go, man. Get the guitar out. Just playing that shit. That's good. Mitchell Blaska, why don't you like training heavy? Watch my last video. You don't make sense there, Mitchell Blaska. Why do you say that I don't like training heavy? Of course, I train heavy all the time. Daniel, I don't work with Todd anymore just because he's a problem. That's all I can say. I won't. I'm just going to remove your comment there, Daniel. Yeah, just to answer, I don't work with him anymore because he's just. There's a lot of things that came up that weren't working between him and I when I was doing a lot of free work, a lot of help, and he wasn't appreciating it. And there's a lot of stuff that I did to market, and I came up with all the ideas and everything like that. But I was just getting nothing but resistance from people around him and stuff. So it just wasn't worth it anymore. So yeah, it was kind of like just it's just one of those things where basically you do stuff for people, but they don't appreciate it, and then they just treat you like dog shit. So yeah. And then of course, then Chase becomes dog shit man. So I don't know how it worked, but so yeah, I don't do anything with him. I'll be doing something with somebody else that is more worthy of my talent. And yeah, that's all I can say. You know, sometimes you think people are friends, but then they turn out to be, more selfish and egotistical than you think. So yeah, that's it. I just went my own way. Okay, Rest Cosmos. I do the dumbbells mid-range mainly, but when it's being used, I try the machine and it feels weird on my shoulder, collarbone area. Yeah, I think, what might be happening is the tension up here might be exploiting some sort of muscle knot or issue you might be having in there. But I know what you're saying. I do feel like there's a little bit more tension in the front delt and stuff up here on it that I don't necessarily like too much. So yeah, just trust yourself on there, Rest Cosmos. You don't have to push through it. That's all I'm saying. If it feels unnatural for you, just go with that. Just trust that. Yeah. I'm just waiting for some more comments to come up, guys. For some reason, it's do you feel that your knowledge of training is complete, or are you still learning? The thing is, the body's an ever-shifting sort of thing, right? The body's always shifting. So am I learning about my own body all the time? Yeah, of course, because my own body is shifting. It changes. It just sometimes responds differently to the same type of stimulus as I had before, So all of a sudden, something that worked for you before when it came down to training doesn't work the same, or your body doesn't respond the same because, say, you have some different injuries, or your joints are sitting in different ways, or like, say, for instance, from my dislocating shoulder and from the torn rotator cuff, right, from hockey injuries, right, like something in my shoulder will sit differently. So sometimes the angle of attack in an exercise, for example, will have to change in order for me to keep the tension on the area that I want to hit. So yeah, it's always changing. It doesn't necessarily mean my knowledge isn't complete in some way. I think as a general rule, yeah, my knowledge is complete to a point, but there's always these little tricks and little tweaks that you can learn in order to help the body. Like, say, for instance, sometimes you're getting a trigger point or a muscle knot in a certain area, and you work on that area, and it still doesn't release that muscle knot, and then you're still getting a knee issue, and then you all of a sudden realize, oh shit, okay, maybe it's coming from the lower back or coming from this different hip or something like that that's going on, like a hip muscle. And then once you release that, then when you release the trigger point in the leg, then all of a sudden the knee feels perfect, So stuff like that always happens. I always make new discoveries about that. Yeah. Do you think there's a limit to size as an addy, that is? Yeah, of course there is. Each person will have a different limit, but of course there's going to be there's going to be a limit. If there wasn't a limit, I'd be 700 pounds right now. You know what I mean? Of course there's a limit. If there's a limit to how much natural mass that a drug guy can get, of course there's going to be a limit to a natural guy, Oh, thanks, Voice of Reason. Yeah, you know what? Where I am right now, it's extremely windy outside. Like it's almost like doom and gloom is coming. Attack of the dog shit werewolf zombie man. Something like that's happening outside. So I think Chase is out there somewhere eating somebody's dog poop off their lawn or something. So anyway, I think that might be actually contributing to why there's some lag in the feed here. Okay, cool. Drops this for life. I'm kind of hungry. So, dog shit zombie land, man. Hey, when are you guys going to bring me some fries and gravy? Hey, when are you going to do that? Just drop them off the steps so I can eat this when I'm in the cold garage talking to you. Okay, you guys are having good conversations amongst each other. That's good. I like that. Just entertain each other. It's almost like I'm just like running a daycare right now, so that way you guys can just chat. So just chat. Come on, I'm trying to show your comment here. Yeah. Super dangerous. Okay. You guys are like having like a sleepover at somebody's house, like talking about. Do you believe that I can get 17-inch arms? I don't know, 16 inches. What do you think? Well, how do you think this would look with my purse? Like, why do you think my? Pretty soon you're gonna be color collaborating and seeing what kind of like shit happens. Yeah, Arrest Cosmo, you give your manual labor? Well, hey man, that's worth something there, Arrest. So thanks, buddy. Thanks for that. Yeah, Joe Skill. It's windy in Abbotsford too, eh? Yeah, Joe Skill lives pretty close to me. He lives about 40-minute drive. About that. It's about 45 minutes or so. Yeah, it's pretty windy here. Jerlo, I don't think people weren't stronger 100 years ago. They weren't stronger years ago. I think your stats are off there. They weren't stronger 200 years ago or 100 years ago. I mean, there might be specialty type lifts that maybe guys don't do anymore. Maybe that might be why there's a difference or in the lift or something, but they're not stronger years ago. I'll tell you that. Chris Patterson, do I believe in Jesus? I believe it's possible a guy named Jesus lived, yeah. I believe a lot of things are possible. There's a lot of stuff that's possible. Okay. Okay, more accurate question. Would people in the past have better genetics? Honestly, I think it's possible. I don't know. The thing is, people are bigger than ever, not necessarily in a good way, but I would say that people were more strong in the way that they had a Saturnian life where they were forced out to do manual labor more often. Like everything was more manual, everything. I mean, whether you wanted to get a bucket of water from a well or not, you were walking, you were doing a farmer carry. Like we do farmer carries in the gym. People did that as their daily activity just to get the water, let alone bags of potatoes or whatever. Like they were doing a lot more carrying, a lot more distance. You had to be more rich in order to have like cars and stuff. If you go back a couple hundred years, I mean, it was like there's horses everywhere and stuff. Just riding a horse requires muscle, you know what I'm saying? So there was a lot of stuff that people did that was natural exercise all the time. Celtic Pride, I think biological degeneration has occurred over recent generations. I would say it's also pharmaceutically induced. I would say a lot of the stuff that's happened in our drug culture with the medical system and stuff is all weakened us. I'm going to say this, like there's been some good stuff, but there's been a lot of poisoning that's happened. GMO foods, all this stuff. This stuff has not all affected us in a positive way. That's one thing for sure, I believe. Yeah, a lot of environmental factors, Celtic Pride for sure. Yeah. A lot of damage has happened. I think it's underestimated, and because it happens over such a long period of time, I think it's so hard to prove, right? Because experiments that happen over a few weeks are like, say you give somebody arsenic and then they die within minutes. You can say, oh, the arsenic poisoned right away. But if something poisons you over 20 years or 30 years, like what company, first of all, is going to research the very thing that's poisoning you? Like who's going to profit from proving that they're poisoning you? I mean, they're not going to profit from it. So which organization is going to spend the money on a 30-year exam or study to make sure that other people aren't poisoning you? Like there's no money in it. And where there's no money, that's usually where there's no research. So unfortunately, that's kind of what happens sometimes, Okay, so 4 sub void 4. How does the optimal reps look like? What does several sets do? Why not do 1 set every 5 hours, for example? Well, you could do that. That's some technique to do it, but you have to kind of warm up each time, because if you didn't warm up, there's a possibility that you'll pull something. So that's the thing. But there is a certain type of stimulus that flicks a switch in your system. So doing something over intensely over a period of time, like really quick, there's a cumulative type of stress that's caused on the overall system, which can create a systemic response hormonally and et cetera, which can say, hey, your body's got to get better. Now, if you're just doing this once in a while, one could argue maybe it's not the same type of stimulus, you know what I'm saying? But it's a worthwhile experiment. If you want to try the experiment, nothing wrong with that. Celtic Pride, I'm in total agreement with you, and I have so many stories that resonate with it. But again, it's such a subject that people talk about. But then there's people on both sides, and they think there's black and white answers to this. There's really not black and white answers, because there's sometimes where certain types of vaccinations and stuff are needed, and sometimes they're not. Like I know, like I've been too close to certain people that have had such negative side effects. When I used to work in a vitamin store, there was at least 10 different people that come in and tell me their stories about when certain things happen to their health and stuff. But it doesn't mean everything is that way. But I'm just saying, I won't get into it too much, because the problem is that there's not much point in getting into discussions when some people are just invested in seeing something a certain way, and they don't understand that I'm trying to help. I'm not trying to kill anybody or make them feel guilty about certain decisions. I just think the best way to look at this stuff is that everything is on a case-by-case basis. Like you have to just look at what is happening, not necessarily what is being told to you that's happening, right? Like media is not always truthful. Let's just put it that way. It's owned by a lot of companies, right, too. So you could train in 1 rep range. Which range would you choose? I'd say about 8 to 12 reps. That would be the best one. Sometimes it squats, 8 to 12 reps would be too aggressive for me, because I find it hard on the lower back when I'm in that heavier rep range, because I could train quite heavy in that rep range. But 8 to 12 reps as a general rule, yeah, that would probably be the best one for me. Do you believe in werewolf dog shit eating, man? I actually do now. I do now there, Chase. I do believe that. Yeah, I think it's a possibility. There's one out there. One out there. We're going to have to start a podcast on that. Sightings of dog shit, werewolf, zombie, man. Yeah, something like that. That's good. Yeah, I totally agree there, Celtic Pride. I totally agree with you on all fronts. But yeah, like I said, the problem is truth is not something that's really readily accepted right now, because there's been such a brainwashing of the population based on information that's been given, and then there's been the guilt put in the back door and saying, if you don't believe what we say, then this means this and this about you. And then so there's a popular crowd sort of mentality, kind of like high school, that the crowd believes something, not because they've got accurate information, but because they've been fed so much lies, that then when you know the truth about something, then you're looked at as the idiot. So I've learned quite a bit now, and everywhere, just you don't put pearls before people that aren't ready to see them. Pearls before swine, right? You don't give information to people who aren't interested in even hearing what you have to say. So yeah, people sometimes have to learn from their own experience, and that's sometimes, unfortunately, that's the only way you can do it. Yeah. All right there, Ricky Field. Have a good one, buddy. Hoyt Fitness, how you doing, buddy? Got a good trigger point in my medialis here. Vastus intermedius, actually. Gonna hold the dumbbell on there. Feels good though. Oh, I just stalled out there for a second. Just waiting for the next line of comments here. Well, the wind's calmed down a bit now. I guess we're safe from the werewolf man for a moment. Any more comments? Any more comments? Yeah. Any more questions, guys? Feels pretty good having a dumbbell on your quads and rolling them out. It actually works pretty good. Have you had a muscle that lagged behind and that you somehow managed to grow it? If yes, how did you do it? Well, with calves, like calves was kind of a hard one for me back in the day, and I made a video about this. But calves, I did a lot of work with, basically a lot of jumping plyometrics in between sets of calf raises, and that worked. Where normal training of calves didn't really work. It wasn't really producing the fruit that I was looking for. It seemed like my calves were just lagging behind. It was only till I got more aggressive with the plyometrics that it worked, and combine that with the weight training. Best way to build upper chest without a bench, prop your feet up on a bench and then do it, like you're facing head down towards the floor, and that's how you do your push-up. That would be how you do it. Have I ever formed any form of martial arts? Yeah, I did karate for 10 years. Yeah. Have I ever done endurance cardio? Yeah, I did karate for 10 years. We did a lot of sparring constantly. Yeah, and I did a lot of hockey and stuff too. Yeah. Basically my 10-year hiatus out of bodybuilding, which is I was still bodybuilding workout. I was still doing bodybuilding workouts like 3 or 4 workouts a week, but I wasn't concentrating as much on arms and stuff. And that's when I was really in hockey for about 10 years. And I would be training more to play hockey. Like I'd be playing 4 or 5 games a week. So I was getting a lot of cardio that way. But yeah, I did a lot of martial arts. Yeah. A lot of karate anyway. That's how I spent most of my youth. Is it possible to gain muscle at a decent pace if you're training for marathons and stuff? No, I would say it's not. It's very, you might gain to a certain point, but have you ever seen a really muscular marathon runner? No, there's a reason why. Does your wife ever lift with you? I always try to get my wife to lift, but I never have any luck. No, my wife does more yoga. She does like consultation type yoga type stuff. So she's more into that, but she does some weight training with dumbbells here and there though. She just jumps in by herself and does her own stuff. I've shown her some things and she does that too. Bench press or shoulder press, if you had to pick one? Bench press, of course, because I like it more, not because it's probably more effective. As a rule, I'd say probably shoulder presses are probably better for more practical reasons, because if you're doing a standing shoulder press, you're hitting the whole body and you're actually aligning the spine and hitting the upper traps and stuff too. But I would say I'd rather do bench press, yeah. Never had knee pain until I started squatting. Well, yeah, welcome to the jungle, my friend. It's a lot of times it has to do with how your lower back is positioned. If you're not arching the back enough, you're going to be putting more stress on the quad. That's one thing. The other thing is you might be pushing the knees out over the toes too much and not sitting your ass back enough. Try doing a box squat for a while, as far as sitting back in a box that's high enough that basically at about 90 degrees at the knee, your bum is just barely touching it. And don't rest your bum on it, but just barely touch your bum on it and then come up. And that will show you how to push off your bum more than your knees, and that should help. But otherwise, there could be a number of things. Yeah. Always skip leg day. No, that's not good. Yeah, I was never a skip leg day guy. I was never a skip leg day guy. Yeah. I wanted to skip leg day, but I didn't. What do you think about Swiss bar for chest training? I don't know what the Swiss bar is. So what kind of podcasts you guys listen to? You guys listen to podcasts at all? Bar with neutral grip handles? So you're talking about like this? Yeah, so you're talking about the hex bar. I guess you could do it. I mean, there's no reason why you couldn't. It just, the only thing that I wouldn't like about it is that it's set with a certain width, right? So does that width work for you or does it not? It just depends on whether you're built right. See, the advantage of having a normal barbell is that you can adjust based on what feels natural for you. Whenever there's a hex bar or a bar like this, then you can't adjust that. And that I would be nervous about, because what if that is not necessarily the right grip for you? Yeah, you guys listen to any sort of podcasts that are interesting, like not fitness, boring shit, but actually like stuff that's kind of interesting? I do put some of my actual videos from my other channel onto podcast as well, actually. Yeah. Oh, so nice, Joe Rogan. Okay, yeah. You guys ever play Dungeons and Dragons? Any of you guys play Dungeons and Dragons or any of that kind of stuff? Or you guys ever geek out as kids? Did you ever do that? You ever play some fantasy role playing games or any of that kind of stuff? Oh, nice. Okay, Alan Watt. Yeah, that's cool. Thanks, Celtic. Yeah, that might be interesting. Oh, neat. You play Magic the Gathering. Nice, nice. Cuttingtothematrixcom.com. Neat. Okay, Al Randy, try D&D for the first time. So just so you guys know, there's a Dungeons and Dragons podcast that you'll like. I'm not saying I'm going to like. You never know. That I'm trying to get this guy to get me on there actually to play with him. But it's called Dungeons and Randomness. So check that out if you want to just take a look at something. It's actually really interesting. Good storytelling. The guy that's a dungeon master is really, really interesting. He's a good storyteller, so it kind of pulls you in. And he's got 3 whole seasons of it, so you can just listen as you're driving stuff. You might enjoy it anyway. So yeah, if you like Dungeons and Dragons or Magic the Gathering, you might actually enjoy this kind of role playing. He's got a whole cast of people that play the different characters and stuff. It's actually kind of fun to listen to. So he's got some music in the background, kind of gets you in the mood, Okay, what are my top tips to enhance recovery? Thanks for creating great content and inspiring me to finally start my own channel. Okay. All right. Here's the thing. Top tips for recovery are eating regularly, basically not letting yourself starve, eating enough protein, and supplementation can help as far as glutamine, branched chain amino acids, and whey protein. This can help to make sure that you are constantly feeding the body protein. Getting enough sleep, that's also extremely important. If you're not getting enough sleep, how in the hell are you going to recover, right? Because recovery happens in your sleep. But most importantly, it is eating and it is sleeping that is going to cause the recovery. That is really it. The modalities that will help as well as like massage therapy or acupuncture, these types of things to make sure your system is functioning properly. And the other thing is not causing a detriment to your system by drinking alcohol, doing drugs, this sort of thing, because this is also going to work against your recovery, right? Because your body has to then deal with the burden of the toxins coming from other areas. So those are the best kind of quick hacks I can give you when it comes down to recovery. Yeah, Todd S. Actually, it's a very adult game. Like D&D is actually a very adult game. It's really just collaborative storytelling. Honestly, it's like you're all making a story together. But then there's dice, and well, as you know, right? Then there's like, so it's almost it's like a game, but then there's a lot of storytelling element to it, which is very interesting. So it's like you're kind of all working together with these rules. There's like a function, like a map of a world or whatever, and you have a referee, and he's basically refereeing you through it and making you interact with certain things. But it's a very fun way of interacting with people. It's a very social, fun way of playing with other people. I think it's a great thing. Yeah, Nate, check out that podcast there, Nate. You'll actually like to see kind of what it's like, and you'll have a good time. Have I ever watched any animes? I never really got into anime because I didn't like the way the drawing was. I just could never get into the drawing. Yeah. Yeah, I never got into the anime drawing. It just always bugged me. The way they made the eyes kind of like, I don't know, I just didn't like it. So just never get into anime. But I do know a lot of people, it's got quite a cult following, anime. Hest events, thanks for doing your part to lead men back to health-oriented bodybuilding. No problem, buddy. In the end, yeah. Now, hopefully the people that are led back are the ones that survive, and there we go. We got some high-quality people then. Just trying to keep people alive, you know what I'm saying? Try and keep you alive. Yeah, Dragon Sea. And you know what, Jerlo? I've heard that a lot. I've heard a lot of people that are into bodybuilding that they always make Dragon Ball Z references and stuff. Yeah. Rest Cosmos. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of that. Well, you know, when I was playing Dungeons & Dragons back in the day, I used to I got totally into it when I was around 13 years old or 14 years old. That's when I started playing. I think it was 13. And my brother and I would play with a couple of our friends, and it was like very much like a Stranger Things sort of element, right? It was exactly like that. They really pegged it well in Stranger Things. But we play with our friends, and then you get so addicted to the game, you just want to keep playing the game. And I'm like, no. And then I'm like, oh, I got to go work out. And it was almost like I'd have to imagine like my character was getting stronger, and I try to motivate myself by going to the gym and realize, okay, this is how you get stronger. You get 18,000 strength by going to the gym. Yeah. Andrew, bro, what are you doing on there, honey bun? This guy eats honey buns. What's he doing on my lap? Hey, Andrew. Yeah, no, Andrew, anyway, just all joking aside, you're right. You played D&D for a while in high school, and yeah, a great storyteller is what makes the game. Exactly. That's why if you tune into this Dungeons and Randomness podcast, you'll see what I'm saying. This guy's a really good storyteller. Like the way he does the non-player characters, the way he acts like them and creates the mood and everything, is actually quite good. So yeah, I get a lot out of it. I really enjoy it. But yeah, no, I'm going to see if I can actually get involved in this sort of thing, do a little bit of it anyway, and find a way to make it sustainable again. But I think it'd be fun. It's really fun. I would like to get some people together. And Andrew, hey, you might be the guy. Maybe you and I are going to play this game. Maybe you're going to play at some point. Maybe we'll do that. Honey buns are your secret superpower. That and the bullets that you have for all those guns you have. Because all you need is the energy to be able to pull the trigger, right, Andrew? Yeah, Andrew, it would be fun. But like I said, I'm going to get my feet wet some way, maybe with maybe this other group or something. You never know. And then because there's a way of actually playing online with people. There's a way of actually playing online where you have like a certain app or whatever, and then you can actually just play online using Skype and everything. And then they can all see the same map and everything. So a person can dungeon master the whole thing and then have a good time. It seems like a really fun time, though. I think it would be good. Yeah. Celtic Pride's talking about he's 26% body fat, borderline obese. I pull it off and close a gut. I'm torn between pursuit of strength and getting back into martial arts. Well, the thing is, all you have to do is watch your diet there, Celtic. It's mostly about what you're eating. Yeah, I mean, okay, it depends what type of calories you're dropping there. If you're just dropping calories, it's not going to work, right? Like say if you had 2,000 calories of sugar a day, you probably wouldn't drop weight. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times people oversimplify by saying dropping calories is going to do something. So what you want to do is drop carbs or drop fats. Drop fats first, then drop carbs. Then, and of course, the first thing you want to do is make sure your carbs are a higher quality than lower, carbs. If you have breads and pastas and stuff, go to brown rice, go to potato with skin, go to yam, go to sweet potato, go to oatmeal. This kind of stuff. And then from there, then you drop carbs down a bit. Just have 1 meal or 2 meals a day of carbs with protein. Start taking chromium picolinate to help with your blood sugar and alpha-lipoic acid, right, with your meals. These types of things may help you actually drop that weight, but keep quality muscle at the same time. Quentin is reheating some chicken and rice on the stove. I am so proud right now. I've got tears in my eyes. Good job, Quentin. How many grams of protein do you take a day? It's about 1 gram per pound of body weight of lean mass. So that's what you got to think about. That's kind of your set point. That's where you start from and see how you feel from there. What's my opinion on intermittent fasting? For some people, it seems to work to help them drop weight at first. As far as performing at a high level, I don't think intermittent fasting is the best thing, as much as some people are trying to say it is. I don't think it is, but I don't do it myself. That's all I can say. Thoughts on surplus amount for lean quality gains? Yeah, you try to surplus. If you're going to surplus calories and stuff, you surplus not necessarily on carbs quite so much as more proteins and a little bit of carbs, but definitely not too much on the fats. I don't really count calories, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. I just eat like crazy, and then if I start putting on fat, then I start to lower the fats down and have more carbs. And then if I have still put on weight, then I basically lower the carbs or change the quality of the carbs and change them to higher quality. So, for instance, a friend of mine or a person I know, she basically is diabetic, and she measured her blood sugar. If she has broccoli with a meal, any one meal, her blood sugar is more stable for 24 hours after. So this gives you an idea. Just by adding some greens to each one of your meals, like broccoli, can make a massive difference in your overall fat loss gains over a period of a week or two. Fat loss gains over a period of a week or two, right? So just by adding broccoli to your meals or some sort of green vegetable, it can make a difference. So there is a synergistic effect by adding this type of stuff, right? Would you ever consider doing more meal videos? Yeah, I'm gonna do some more meal videos. I do stuff. I'm always caught between a rock and a hard place because I'm trying to do stuff on subjects that people will search on YouTube because that's what gets views, right? If I do a day in the life vlog video and I'm like, oh, here I am eating this, here I am eating that, whatever, I don't necessarily get as much views on that because people aren't necessarily clicking on that for a reason, right? It has to be more of an instructional video in a lot of cases. So it just depends. Like whatever I'm getting more views on is kind of where I'm directing the content, right? Because that's telling me what people want to see. So the views don't lie, So if I'm getting more views, if that's what's happening, then that's what I'll basically cater content to for sure. What is the muscle in the upper body that most people ignore? Their back, 100%. Because you can see in the comments on any of my back training videos, oh, you're doing it all wrong, you're doing it all wrong. And none of them are training back. They all got backs like 12-year-old girls, and they're all telling me how to train back, right? So it's like most of them don't have a back. As soon as I turn around on stage and I do a back pose, most of the bodybuilders on stage, especially at a regional level, would just disappear. They were not even there anymore. They just didn't exist because they just weren't training back. They're training arms and shoulders the whole time. Hey, Jarilla, that's an idea. Professional natural bodybuilder and all your titles. That's a good idea. That might be something relevant. That might work. What's my favorite exercise? I like bench pressing. I really like bench pressing. What muscle of the back? I would say the lats. The lats and the traps. The lats and the traps, they don't seem to grow on most natural bodybuilders because they don't know how to train them. They know how to train the arms. They're just arm heavy, just move the arms everywhere. It's all arms, right? This part, they just totally ignore it. They think that that's not even part of the back. They're just focused on where are the arms? Where's that bar going? Is the bar here? Is the bar there? Where's the bar? Okay, now I'm doing full range. Look at me. I know what I'm doing. I'm doing full range because there the bar is. And it's just one small part of the whole thing. It's not the entire thing, right? It's what is pulling that bar from point A to point B. What muscles are being used? It's not about just pulling it from point A to point B. And ironically, when they're doing this full range, they're actually able to use lighter weight. They're not able to use this heavy weight because they're using the smallest muscles, right? Cool. Well, we're at the 2-hour mark. All right. I guess we're good. Yeah. Arrest Cosmos. You want views, you got to have extreme hype titles. Yeah. I misread that at first. Yeah, win mastery. You're talking about somebody else reminding of their thing. Just I've been doing this thing for like 30 years, long before everybody else came up with something or some name for the bullshit that they're doing. So just yeah, I've been doing this for a long time. So long before anybody else hyped stuff, and I learned from other people. So. Thanks, Warrior Statue, for the $5. Thanks. Thanks, Andrew. Have a good one, man. Okay. All right, guys. I think that's about it for me tonight. Can you ask me about magic carp? I don't even know what the hell that is. Okay. Random question. All right, El Ren. Okay, guys. Well, I'll have a video up again tomorrow, and whatever. So tune in for that. I'll be checking to see if you should go up on the mountain if you don't watch it. And otherwise, I will be in touch. And make sure you join me on Instagram if you haven't so far, or join me on Facebook, the Facebook group. And yeah, we will see you soon.